Ladies and gentlemen, in the aftermath of President Trump's recent congressional address, it would seem as if pretty much every single person in America has come to the realization that the Democrats have completely lost their sense of humanity. Because right now, the entire nation, both Republicans and Democrats alike, are talking about how horribly the Democratic congressional representatives behaved during Trump's speech. And get this, it's not just Republican voters that are disgusted by their theatrics. Even members of the left-wing media and some Democratic politicians themselves are coming out of the woodwork to condemn the petulant, childish behavior we all saw just the other day. Now, folks, before we go any further, let's take a look at some numbers here. You see, a whopping 69% of Americans had an either very positive or somewhat positive reaction to Trump's congressional address. What that means is that only 31% of Americans nationwide didn't like what President Trump had to say. And so, folks, you know what? That's not just a majority, it's a supermajority, but really, it's a mandate. And so what did the Democrats in Washington, D.C. do about all of this? Did they actually listen to what Trump had to say? No, of course not. Instead, they threw a collective temper tantrum, crying, booing, interrupting, and making fools of themselves on the national stage. And guess what? Americans across the country are not having it. You see, even Democratic voters across the country wanted to actually hear what President Trump had to say, but these petulant, crybaby Democrat politicians just had to go and make a scene. And now, everyone with half a brain is condemning their behavior. In fact, take a look at this highlight reel of what some of the left-wing media personalities had to say about all of this.
That is how you save democracy, by quietly dissenting or bidding on an antique tea set. It was hard to tell what was going on.
I don't know who thought up the bingo signs, but they should be fired.
Michael, this is an indictment, in my opinion, on the Democratic leadership.
What we saw, the theatrics tonight in the chamber, are not being well received.
I will say, I think there were times when they should have risen. I think what Al Green did was despicable.
You hear that? This is an indictment of the Democratic leadership. This behavior is not being well received, and what they did was despicable. But you know what? It isn't just everyday Americans and talking heads on the media that are disgusted by all of this. As of last night, the House of Representatives actually had a vote to censure Congressman Al Green for interrupting President Trump's speech. And guess what? The vote actually passed 224 to 198, and get this, 10 Democrats voted in favor of censuring Al Green. So what that means is that even some of the Democrat politicians agree that all of that behavior was unacceptable. But you know what? Looking beyond the House of Representatives, even some Democratic senators are speaking out about this. In fact, take a look at what Democratic Senator John Fetterman had to say about his own party's behavior during President Trump's speech. As he posted on Twitter, "A sad cavalcade of self-owns and unhinged petulance. It only makes Trump look more presidential and restrained. We are becoming the metaphorical car alarms that nobody pays attention to, and it may not be the winning message." Folks, not only is it not the winning message, but hey, when even Democratic senators are flipping and calling out this type of behavior, that's when you know you've gone off the deep end. And actually, it would seem as if Senator Fetterman is slowly starting to wake up to the reality of just how much of a disaster the Democratic Party has truly become. In fact, take a look at this tweet he posted just the other day about Biden's catastrophe at the border. "This is when we became the party for chaos, telling people to invalidate their eyes or experiences, and we lose. Equivalent size of Pittsburgh showing up every month at our border was true chaos." And you know what, folks? In this specific instance, Fetterman is 100% right. Biden's open border policies have led to absolute chaos, and the American people know it. But you know what? Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's not give Fetterman too much credit here. Because as I'm sure you all know, just earlier this week, Senator Fetterman voted to keep men in women's sports. And you know what? I want you all to take a listen to what Megyn Kelly had to say about that.
Pennsylvania. F you, John Fetterman. You act like you're a man of the people. You're going to look out for the weak. You get it. You don't get shit. You really don't. That part of your brain still appears to be injured because you're going to let all these little girls go out there and get a traumatic brain injury? You, of all people who understand what a brain injury can do, screw you and your working class appeal.
And folks, you know what? Megyn Kelly is absolutely right. You don't get to pretend to be a champion of the people, a champion of the working class, when you turn around and vote to endanger women. And guess what? Over 70% of Americans want men out of women's sports. And yet, Senator Fetterman and the rest of the Democrats just keep proving how out of touch with everyday Americans they truly are. And so, folks, that point right there, just how out of touch the Democrats are, is the real point of today's video. The Democrats have completely lost touch not just with America and the Americans therein, but with reality itself. They have no respect, no civility, no decorum, and on top of all of that, they refuse to represent the will of the American people. Instead, they're spending their time in Washington, D.C. doing things like this. Take a look. Folks, what am I supposed to even say about that? Instead of actually doing their jobs that people elected them to do, these clowns are uploading TikTok videos pretending to be video game characters. And once again, this is just further proof, concrete proof, that the Democrats are completely out of touch. They actually thought that that video, the one we just watched, would resonate with young Americans. In reality, it's like when your mom tries to act cool and hip in front of your friends, and then your friends just make fun of you for it. Except in this case, it's not embarrassing for us, it's embarrassing for them. So folks, let's try to sum all of this up. The Democrats are completely and totally out of touch with America and American voters. Trump's approval ratings right now are skyrocketing while theirs are plummeting into the gutter. And on top of all of that, it's become abundantly clear that these Washington, D.C. Democrats don't give one single crap about the issues that everyday Americans are facing. And you know what? America sees it. We all know that this is true. And that is why Trump's favorability ratings are at an all-time high, and that is why the Democrats are imploding. But you know what, folks? To be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly mad about any of this, because as long as the Democrats keep acting like this, we will keep on winning, and we will keep on making America great again. But now, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say real quick that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates relating to all of this. So if you guys use Facebook, check out the pinned comment down below and give that page a follow. But folks, I think that's going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video if you liked it. Please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.